news agency that leaders of the Horn of African nations have to consider discussing Ethiopia's quest for having access to sea, as it would increase the physical economic growth of the East African region. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has given geographical, historical, and economic background to initiate discussions on Ethiopia's right to access to sea outlets through peaceful means. The analyst stated that access to sea not only reinforces the steadily growing import-export trade of the second Africa's most populous nation, but will also ensure development in the region. For him, Ethiopia's quest for coastal access to sea outlets is essentially correct, as it would enable increased physical economic growth of the people in the Horn of Africa. In this regard, the analyst urged leaders of the Horn of African nations to have discussions to consider Ethiopia's quest for having access to sea. Prime Minister Abiy has suggested potential areas like the Ethiopian Airlines, the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, and other offers for concession, Freeman stated. Now, marking World Cities Day, the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres emphasized the vital roles cities play in sustainable development as catalysts for economic growth and innovation. Cities, he noted, are not only engines for economic growth, but are also at the forefront of the world's most pressing challenges. From the climate crisis to widening social inequalities and political polarization, cities find themselves grappling with a multitude of complex issues. Today, urban living has already been embraced by more than half of the world's population, and UN Habitat projections indicate that nearly 70% of people will live in cities by 2050. Cities generate more than 80% of the global GDP, create powerful networks of entrepreneurship and business growth, and give ample opportunities for talented development. Approximately 1.1 billion people live in slums and informal settlements in urban areas, which entrench poverty and limit opportunities. This year's theme for World Cities Day, Financing Sustainable Urban Development, serves as a clarion call for collective action, it is indicated. Ethiopian ambassador to Qatar, Iran, and Yemen, Faisal Ali Ibrahim, has met with the Director of African Affairs of the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Qatar. The ambassador discussed various issues of common concern with Ambassador Abdullah bin Hussein Mohammed Al Jaber, Director of African Affairs at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Qatar. Their discussion focused on the special kidney treatment hospital planned to be built in Ethiopia and other issues vital to further strengthen the country's bilateral relations. The two officials have also exchanged views regarding regional, continental, and international issues of mutual concern. That's according to the Ethiopian Embassy in Doha. The World Food Prize Symposium has opened in Iowa, the United States of America, aiming at recognizing outstanding individuals' work alleviating food insecurity. The 2023 World Food Prize recognition was given to Heidi Kuhn, who is the founder and CEO of Roots to Peace, for her relentless efforts to ensure food security in war-torn regions. Speaking on the occasion, President Sahle Work briefed Ethiopia's vast experience and political will instrumental to tackle complications related with food security. Have a listen to this.
We have to wake up from where we are. We cannot suffer of food shortages, fertilizers that we cannot get, and so on, because there is trouble somewhere in the world. That self-sufficiency is becoming not only a necessity, but really an obligation if we want to move forward. But that obligation has been now adopted. All member states are committed to it. It's our continental organization's program. So political will, as you have mentioned, is central to all this. Daring to go that way, to try to see what is it that we can get.
According to the president, the effective wheat productivity in Ethiopia is a showcase of possibility for all African countries to utilize the untapped resources of the continent. Have a listen to this again.
We have had, the production of, as you said, heat-resistant wheat varieties, which has been distributed to our smallholder farmers, millions of them. And the land tenure in Ethiopia is also one of the challenges that we have. But the system of using the land in the form of cluster, coming together to harvest, has increased the productivity tremendously. And that wheat revolution, really, this is what has happened, was possible definitely because of that, and it has shown that transforming agriculture in that magnitude is indeed possible.
ስሜ ቄስ ጽጌ ገርማ ይባላል። በደብሩ ያለኝ ኃላፊነት የስብከት ወንጌል። አጸዱን የዘሩት ከአቡነ በርተሎሜዎስ ገዳም ዘሩን አምጥተው 40 ቆፋሪ 40 ጥንድ በሬ አድርገው ነው የዘሩት። የተከሉበት ዘመንም በአጼ ተክለ ጊዮርጊስ ዘመነ መንግስት ነው። አጼ ተክለ ጊዮርጊስ የኋለኛው ከዘመነ መሳፍንት በኋላ ያለው ሳይሆን የፊተኛው 5 ዓመት የገዙት አጼ ተክለ ጊዮርጊስ በሳቸው ዘመነ መንግስት ነው የተከሉት።
Welcome back. Now, the Business Environment and Investment Climate Project has provided a final training to selected members from the Ministry of Justice and the Ministry of Innovation and Technology on the application of its newly developed e-consultation platform on draft laws. Talking to EBC World, Eli Saway, key expert on e-governance at GIZ, says the electronic consultation portal promotes electronic democracy in the country by providing a convenient platform where people can express their opinions on laws to be drafted and influence decision-making processes. Shogamata has more on that.
Ethiopia is gearing up to launch the nation's electronic consultation platform for the consultation of draft laws. The Technical Assistance for Business Environment and Investment Climate Project, BIC, funded by the European Union and implemented by GIZ International Services, is spearheading the development of the platform. The portal system is designed to enable all citizens in Ethiopia, including private sectors, to provide opinions and requests for changes on draft laws. Talking to ETV English, Eli Saway, a key expert on e-governance at GIZ, said the portal is significant for electronic democracy to create inclusive and transparent law drafting process in the country.
This electronic consultation portal is mainly a tool in order to create inclusiveness and transparency in the law drafting process. It is a request from the Ministry of Justice and also from the Ministry of Innovation and Technology, who is in charge of the digitalization in Ethiopia. So this tool will allow any citizen, to give his comment, recommendations on any law that is being drafted. So a draft law that has not been promulgated yet, okay, will be available for all citizens in order to comment, and the ministry in charge of drafting the law, with the cooperation with the Ministry of Justice, will be able to reply to these comments and recommendations from any citizen.
The expert also pointed out that the e-consultation platform improves ease of doing business in Ethiopia.
This improvement is done through several pillars. One of them is the access to credit, where the project is working with the National Bank of Ethiopia on improving access to credit. The second one is with the Ministry of Revenue, where we are helping the ministry to improve the paying taxes process. We are also working with the Ministry of Innovation and Technology in order to improve the digitalization for the ease of doing business, and we are also working with the Ministry of Trade and Regional Integration on improving company creation process.
The BIC project conducted final training to selected staff members from the Ethiopian Ministry of Innovation and Technology and Ministry of Justice on the application of the platform, and tested the portal to validate its alignment with its objectives and requirements in Addis Ababa on Wednesday. BIC is the EU-funded program which is implemented by GIZ International Services in partnership with McKinsey Company, aims to support reforms to improve the ease of doing business in Ethiopia.
And finally, the violence in Gaza has spiraled into the occupied West Bank, where Israeli forces have conducted almost daily raids and strikes. And at least 124 people have been killed since October 7th, the highest toll in the Palestinian territory since at least 2005. But there has also been a rise in clashes between Palestinians and illegal Israeli settlers, with civilians and fighters killed on both sides. Johannes Fantam presents TRT World Report as follows.
Mohammed Farah was shot dead while out for a night with friends.
We have an area in the village called the Water Springs area where young people go and sit at night. They were surprised last night by the settlers who opened fire on them, resulting in the martyrdom of my nephew.
It happened near Ramallah in the occupied West Bank. Israeli settler attacks have increased alongside the army crackdown across the territory since October 7 Hamas raid. Palestinians and Arab leaders say it is being used as an excuse to grab more land.
While our eyes have been trained on Gaza, the occupied West Bank has not been spared from violence either. Israeli settlers are escalating their attacks against Palestinian civilians and forcing their displacement. These attacks must be prevented by the State of Israel. Across the region, there have been several credible warnings of a wider escalation. The drums of war are beating.
Israeli settlements have been increasing in the occupied West Bank under Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu hardline government. Their expansion is illegal under international law, but Israel has evaded sanctions despite repeated violation.
We urge Israeli authorities to ensure that Israeli security forces refrain from the use of live ammunition except as a last resort to address an imminent threat to life or serious injury. And we urge them to take immediate steps to end settler violence against Palestinians and to ensure the protection of the Palestinian population.
The official support has emboldened the settlers, although some Israeli leaders insist that only Israeli security personnel are authorized to use force.
There is no private body in any way authorized to use force, and the use of violence is a domain of the IDF, Shabak, Mossad, the Israeli police and them alone. Any action that violates this is unacceptable and should disturb us greatly.
Meanwhile, the Rafah crossing from Gaza to Egypt is expected to open for the first time since Israel's siege began on 7th October. It is thought 88 injured Palestinians and about 500 dual nationals per day will be allowed out.
And with that, we come to the end of today's updates. Thanks a lot.